Hey, I'm Pops, and full disclosure, I'm a fan. But let me tell you, does it hold up or not? Let's talk about a few issues. Let me tell you what I like about it, why I own this book, and can talk about it today. All right. Hail to you, Chris Persia, for this recommend. I haven't really reread this many Pitt issues in many, many years. I've reread the first few a couple times. I really do enjoy the first few issues, but I really read pretty deep into it. Let's talk about Pitt. Dale Keown, Image Comics, the second biggest selling comic of 1993 behind The Death of Superman, that 75th book that has like the black bag with the blood on it, the Death of Superman book. This is number 2 that year. So it was a huge selling book, a huge, huge story in the comic book world. So let me walk through a little bit with you here if we can. And you can just see the intricate details just on the cover alone. Um, Dale Keown is he's just tremendous, to be honest, in every way. I don't know what to tell you. It's if you're into '90s comic book art, this is going to be the book for you or a book for you to consider. Um, so you can just see right here, just when he stumbles across, these thugs. Look at the intricacies of the details with the hair. The guy on the right, he has glare in the sunglasses, right? This person has a beard, intricate facial features, lines on his forehead. You can see, here's Pitt walking in the shadows towards this tunnel, right? So he's this humid alien hybrid, and we have this sort of like showcase of his powers. Nothing's really hurting him, right? It's just incredible, brutal fun. Now, I will admit, if one of the negatives I would say at this point would be the action. Dale chose to use like these old sound effects things like womp and shunk. It's like I didn't need all of that. I really wish this book didn't have a lot of that in it. But I'm also not going to bag on the book because of it. I did enjoy it, but look at the detail every step of the way, all along it. His blood is pink, which I think is interesting, right? And then you have a cut, which is a little hard to read digitally. By the way, I know I don't have a physical copy. I can share this with you the way I read it physically, but on a digital copy, it goes sideways because you would turn the comic book. It doesn't really quite give you the same impact on that couple of times. So this is Timmy. So Timmy is a genetic uh, partner to Pitt. They're connected, and the whole story is trying to help you understand Pitt, his origin story, how that ties to Timmy, and how all that fits in this grand scheme. And then there's police that are uncovering different conflicts. So there's a couple of brief um, stories that kind of fit in around this first issue. Youngblood number 4 and Pitt 1/2. And mystically, it's like when Pitt first appears, there's a subway attack and all that. And then you have this lady, which I'd love to hear the story from Dale about why he chose Bobby Harris. See, it's a female name, Bobby, but Bob Harris is a famous Marvel editor. So I don't know if Dale did this out of a sign of respect or not, but it's interesting to see that kind of play out a little bit there. And then we end up with I think you could see it better the other way, huh? Let me put that back because I want you to be able to kind of really, really be able to enjoy. Look at the details, the intricacies, the use of shadows. Dale just such a great job on all of this. This is just the first issues. There's just so much going on. There's so much act. You don't really get more than a few pages before you have something else going on, and then you have this other team that shows up, and you're like, who are all these creatures and beings and that kind of thing. And then there's a nice Pit pin up here was by Sam Keith, which I enjoy. Who does the Max? You can see the Max symbolism there as well. Very nice. Um, Here's Pit number 2, and just like and you can just see right away we're gonna have more action, you're gonna have more shenanigans. But look at how much detail. Again, Dale, if you're into '90s action, a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of like kind of this is a book for you. You're gonna enjoy all of this because it never stops. Dale Keown, become famous because of his work over on Hulk, and this is something that's just really showcasing a lot of that kind of stuff. And Pitt has a very interesting design with Hulk elements, but also just other things. I will say this: that early on, his dialogue, so he's communicating with a third being, so he's also got an entity inside of him as well, which is important to understand. And they explain all of this. So I'm trying not to go into the weeds and explain all of the intricacies here, because I would rather use this as a way to showcase the book, to give you some of the elements, to see if this would be something you'd be interested in reading or not. This is just a more of a 90s action fun. Think of it more like if you like that sort of like Seagal Van Damme action, without having to get so caught up into like deep story, and like there's a story, but it's like that's not why we're here. We're here because of the art. We're here in this case because of the action, those kinds of things. And then it's just throw down superhero stuff, throw down creatures on creatures, and then you get just different things that are happening. I love the poor grandpa's always caught up in the middle of some of these shenanigans, by the way. But I was going to point out the dialogue. So early on, I liked how Pitt didn't have much to say. He sort of spoke as an alien, like a foreigner in a different place. And then later, by the time you're like issues 6, 7, or 8, the dialogues kind of has shifted, and he's making more references that seem like they're very jocular with like Earth speak. And I just didn't care for that as much. I wish they had kind of kept him like this, where he had a very few words, and the words, it was always just very, how do I explain, not primitive. It was a very singular approach to everything. It's about combat. It was very much about the moment. It wasn't like these sort of like flippant. It wasn't really meant to be funny or anything like that. So I think that's kind of like where I want to stop, because I just want to see, look at the way he's covered in the other alien's blood, his blood. Timmy's there. If you like that type of art and that's what you're really into, Pitt probably is a great book for you. If you think it's going to be a great story and it's real, yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This is probably not Keown on Hulk and some of the other stuff. I think that's where you get the compliment with that. Here, I don't think the story really has a lot of that sort of weight to it. It's more like a fun and frivolous type of experience than it is weight. But I will say I enjoyed it. And I do enjoy it. It's like a guilty pleasure for me, for sure. And I was there like day one. I was there when Pitt came out, bought it, had that copy, multiple, and now I got a perfect graded one. It's like, it's never been on eBay. I have no plans of putting it on eBay. It's sort of like just for me. So anyway, that's my take on this. Again, thank you, Chris Persia, for the recommend. I appreciate it. Hopefully this has given you something out of it that you're looking for. Thank you again. I am Pops.
America's #1 comic book thanks to you. So I started this company to make the toys that you asked for.
Spawn, Violator.
I hear the competition's flying around. They could be any place.
They're cool, awesome.
Tremor, Overkill, Medieval Spawn, the Clown.
And they come with comics.
Nice toys, kids.
Nice try, guys.
Spawn from Todd Toys. We're out to plaster the competition.
Yeah. Right?